everybody. What's up? It's Natalie. I'm back with another video. I'm late. I did not do a very good job with keeping up with my videos once I got my phone back, so I apologize for that. I look crazy. I've been laying in bed watching Netflix all day. I have 5 more days till I get back home. I'm so excited. But I wanted to come on here and do a quick little video about my my experience at basic training. What can I say? I really should have wrote down what I was gonna say, like little bullet points, because I know I'll be all over the place. But so pretty much, I hated basic training. I hated my life. I left in March and I graduated June 17th. I was at Ft.Leonardwood, Missouri, which is also known as Ft.Lostinthewoods. It was a hard base to be at. It was one of the harder bases from what I've heard. It's one of the more difficult bases to do your basic training. But yeah, I hated it. One thing that I can say is that I enjoyed the people that I got to meet while I was out there. And then I also enjoyed being able to do new things. So like I learned how to shoot a rifle. I qualified my weapon as a marksman. I'm not really a gun weapons type of person, but it was fun to be able to learn how to use a weapon, clean it, disassemble it, reassemble it, things like that. So that was fun. I enjoyed that part. I guess I could start from the very beginning. As y'all already know, I ended up having to postpone my training for a little bit because we had a COVID outbreak in my platoon. Well, that ended up causing me to have to go to a whole new company. And it pushed my graduation date back. And then I had to pretty much do everything all over from day 0, which really pissed me the hell off. So I did red phase and yellow phase all over again. So I pretty much did it twice, which sucked. But so yellow phase was controlled monitoring. That's when they just pretty much make sure that you're not dying from COVID. You don't really get to do anything. You eat hot A's every day. Hot A's and MREs. They don't let you go to the defect. And you just like learn stuff in the barracks pretty much. You don't really get to do outside training. And then you take your COVID test, and once you pass, then you go into red phase. Well, red phase was where it got really, really difficult. We start getting what they call corrective action all the time. Because people would do dumb shit, or because people didn't know things that they should have known already. It was intense. We were doing PT a lot, like a whole lot. It just felt like I wasn't getting any sleep. I was constantly on edge. At one point in time, like I was like nervous about everything. We had drill sergeants that would like snatch our camelbacks. If you don't know what a camelback is, I'll show you. This is a camelback, and it's where you hold your water. And so we had drill sergeants that would snatch our camelbacks if we had them hanging up on our beds, and they would dump it out and like pour all the water out all over the floor. But the way they did it was just a very aggressive manner of the way they would do it. And we had, the way we got woken up kind of sucked at my first company, because like my first company, we would get woke up. We weren't allowed to wake up before wake up, and like our drill sergeants had to come and wake us up. So they would like walk through the barracks, and they'd have this like megaphone and this like loud ass like siren. They would hit the lockers and hit the beds, and they're screaming, get the fuck up, why are you still fucking sleep training, da 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 da, you shouldn't be tired, whatever, just doing the absolute most. And waking up like that it can be a little traumatic. I just remember thinking like my first week, like, why the fuck did I sign up for this? This is one of the worst decisions of my life. Why did I do this to myself? I feel like during my first couple of weeks, I got picked on by drill sergeants because I had an advanced degree, which later on I realized, like, a lot of people crack jokes about people who go into the military with degrees who aren't officers, but like at the end of the day, a lot of the people who are in the military, when they leave the military, they don't really have anything to leave to. So like, I don't need the military. It was a choice that I made to try to get my student loans paid for. But ultimately I don't need the military. And I feel like a lot of the drill sergeants would like make comments about how dumb I was because I clearly need the military if I have a master's degree and I'm in the military and I'm not an officer and I'm being stupid. And they just used to talk a lot of junk. And that's one of the things that I really didn't like, was like a lot of the drill sergeants in the beginning and even in the end, they're just really disrespectful. They claim that it's like a way of breaking you out of your civilian personality or whatever, turning you from a civilian to a soldier. But I feel like there's other ways that you can prepare people for that, or take someone from being a civilian to a soldier without having to degrade them and berate them. And apparently that's just the military's way of doing things, is to degrade people and make them feel less than and make them feel like shit. Eventually that stopped happening to me. My drill sergeants, when I went to my new company, ended up really liking me, and they didn't really bother me too much. My goal was to get through basic training without people even knowing who I was, which it was going that way for a little while, up until I took my first ACFT, and that's when people started to realize, like, oh, veteran. That's when the drill sergeants really realized who I was, and started putting me in leadership roles, which I did not like, because I didn't want to be in the spotlight. I didn't want to be responsible for other people, and I also didn't care for the idea of being responsible for people who could care less about me and didn't want to be a team player. But that's just kind of what happens. I always end up in leadership roles for some reason, regardless of the military. So it's something that I'm starting to get used to. But let's see, white phase was where we learned how to shoot rifles, and where we qualified our weapons, and we did the anvil. And we got to do our anvil with another platoon because we were really short-staffed on drill sergeants. So that anvil was actually pretty easy, because a lot of the things that they wanted us to do, my group, the group that I was assigned to, didn't really get to participate in because there were too many groups, not enough drill sergeants to monitor us, and not enough time to get all the groups to go through the training. So for the anvil, we pretty much just sat around, which was nice, even though it was freezing. We had to dig ranger graves with gas masks on, which pissed me the fuck off. But you know, that's part of the training. Blue phase, things started to get a little bit easier because we were getting ready to go home. We did the forge, which was like our 3-day training exercise at the end. I hated it. I cried. We rucked a total of 43 miles over the course of 3 days. I had an injury. I had a knee injury and an Achilles tendon injury that had never been looked at. So I was really struggling and suffering. But I made it through. Even came to AIT with an Achilles injury, and I'm making it through now. But basic training, I mean, I feel like the best part of my basic training experience was the people that I met. I watched a lot of YouTube videos about basic training during COVID, and just so I could prepare myself for what to expect. And honestly, it was everything that I expected it to be. I mentally prepared myself for shenanigans of all types. One of the things that I wasn't prepared for was having to deal with BS. Like, I'm the type of person, like, I don't really have drama in my life like that. I don't typically deal with bullshit from people. So when we constantly had issues like in our bay or as a company, like it was annoying to have to constantly deal with it because it's not something that you can ignore because you're stuck. You're stuck there. So you can't just ignore it and walk away and leave. Like it's annoying. One of the things that was different about basic training during the pandemic was that a lot of our training exercises got canceled and a lot of our training exercises were rescheduled. So like the team building exercises that you typically do during red phase, we didn't actually do them until the end of white phase, beginning of blue phase. So like PEX, which is like the obstacle course where you're competing with your other platoons in your company, we didn't do that till blue phase. We didn't do the Jacob's ladder and all that stuff until like practically blue phase. I'm trying to think of what else. Also, I went to basic in Ft.Leonardwood and it was pretty cold. So a couple of our events got canceled because of the weather. It snowed in April and we pretty much had to shut down shop. We were like confined to the barracks for like 3 days, which was great. Another thing about the COVID basic training during COVID, so a lot of things are different. Like we didn't get to do combatives, we didn't do pugils, we didn't do shark attack. Looked different. I don't know if shark attack looked different because of COVID or if just because they changed it, but our shark attack was more like 100 miles of hell. We had to 100 yards of hell is what it felt like. We walked 100 meters or down to our company once we got off the bus, and we had to carry all of our bags. And then they made us put our bags in this one pile, and they put our bags, lined them up at random in this big ass field, and we had like 20 seconds to find our bags and then get back into formation. And it was crazy. I just remember standing in formation and this girl that was in front of me was getting yelled at. The drill sergeant was like this close to her face, screaming at her. And I don't even remember why he was screaming at her, honestly, and the whole time I was telling myself, like, you're invisible, they can't see you. You're invisible, they can't see you. You're invisible, they can't see you. And I was saying it in my head, and then next thing I knew, I was actually saying it out loud, and like one of the drill sergeants walked by and he just looked at me, and I was like, fuck, oh shit, like he can hear me. Like, I didn't mean to say it out loud, but like I was just trying to talk myself into calming down because I was so nervous, and I'm not one of those people that likes to be yelled at. I don't like to be cursed at. I don't like to be talked to any kind of way. So like being in that kind of environment is stressful for me and it makes me uncomfortable. I don't think I'll ever be able to physically feel comfortable in environments that are like that are volatile and like kind of sort of aggressive and violent. I don't like being in those kinds of environments where it's okay for someone to walk up to you and start screaming at you in your face. Like, to me, that's not normal, but to the military, it is, at least in the basic training environment. And that's something that we kind of had to get used to. When I went to my new company, like the drill sergeants weren't as crazy. They still would do some like really messed up stuff. Like we had one drill sergeant she was a female drill sergeant, and she would knock over the trash cans. And like, I don't ever want my kids to feel like they have to go to the military, or even, I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't even want my kids to even think the military is an option. There's so much out in the world that they can do. And while being in the military and like being around a lot of like the upper echelon and like the sergeants, the sergeant first classes that maybe came into the military when they were 18 or 17 or whatever, coming straight out of high school, a lot of the drill sergeants that I had met, they, talked about how when they get done with the military and they're done with their 20 years, which is coming soon, they're not sure what they're going to do because they've never been out in the real world as a civilian doing anything. They came out of high school and went straight into the military. And so it bothered me that a lot of the drill sergeants would be so rude and disrespectful. Not to say that they needed to bow down to people with degrees or anything like that, but it was just odd that people would come into the military and go to basic training with degrees, and the first thing you do is pick on them and call them stupid and tell them how ignorant they are and tell them how much of an idiot they are and all that stuff, because they decided to go into the military for a benefit, or go into the military because they really wanted to serve, or go into the military because they wanted to do something different. Meanwhile, you're in the military 18 years and that's all you've ever done, and you have no clue what you're going to do when you get out, and you have no idea how to even navigate that, to call someone stupid and look at the situation you're in. My bad, y'all. I went to get some food, so I had to cut my video short, but let me put this mask on. I don't know. I feel like things could be different in the military for basic training. I definitely will never go through it again. I definitely learned that I don't give myself enough credit, that I am capable of way more than I say that I am. And for that, I am thankful for basic training, because I wouldn't have even realized that had I not went to basic. So this hat is crazy. This is why I never wear this one. But yeah, that's my basic training experience, y'all. I'll come back with another video soon.